an independent analysis of European defense capabilities and strategic policy.
The procurement of advanced combat aircraft often obscures a secondary challenge. Yet this challenge is equally critical, arming them with munitions that actually match their technological sophistication. For the Italian Air Force and Navy, the transition to the F-35 Lightning II has long been framed as a leap in fifth-generation survivability and sensor fusion. However, the platform has historically suffered from a kinetic disconnect. While the aircraft provides unprecedented situational awareness, its organic strike capability has been largely limited to direct attack munitions with relatively short standoff ranges, such as the Joint Direct Attack Munition or the Small Diameter Bomb. This constraint forces the platform to fly well within the engagement envelopes of modern integrated air defense systems to deliver its payload. Such a risk calculation becomes increasingly tenuous when facing peer adversaries operating systems like the S-400 Triumph. The decision to acquire the AGM-158B Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile Extended Range, or JASSM-ER, therefore represents more than a simple stockpile update. It signifies a fundamental restructuring of Italian strike doctrine. It marks a shift from a reliance on stealth-enabled close-in engagement to a layered approach that prioritizes long-range interdiction. This acquisition addresses a specific geometric problem inherent in the modern anti-access area denial environment. Russian-manufactured defense systems create overlapping denial zones that can extend up to 400 kilometers from the emitter. This effectively outranges the internal weapons load of any stealth aircraft currently in service. Yet without a standoff capability, an Italian F-35 would be required to thread through a dense network of surveillance and engagement radars to release a weapon that glides perhaps 70 to 100 kilometers. The operational risk in such a profile is nonlinear. The detection probability increases significantly the deeper the aircraft penetrates the defensive bubble. The JASSM-ER, with a published range exceeding 900 kilometers, inverts this equation. It allows the launch platform to release ordnance from outside the kinematic reach of defensive interceptors. In effect, this decouples the survivability of the aircraft from the lethality of the strike. However, the integration of this weapon system introduces a complex set of trade-offs regarding the low observable characteristics of the F-35. The JASSM-ER is physically too large to fit inside the internal weapons bays of the F-35A or F-35B. Consequently, these missiles must be carried on external pylons under the wings. This configuration significantly increases the radar cross-section of the aircraft, degrading its stealth performance to a point where it may no longer be considered a low observable asset in certain frequency bands. This creates a bifurcated operational concept. In the opening phase of a conflict, often termed Day 1, Italian F-35s equipped with JASSM-ERs would likely operate as conventional missile trucks. They would launch strikes from safe sanctuaries well behind friendly lines to degrade enemy radar and command infrastructure. And only after these long-range assets have dismantled the integrated air defense network would the F-35 revert to its clean configuration, utilizing internal bays to conduct penetrating missions against surviving targets. This duality suggests that the platform is not a singular solution, but a modular system whose tactical role fluctuates based on the payload configuration. From an industrial and political perspective, the selection of an American missile highlights the friction between national sovereignty in defense manufacturing and operational pragmatism. Italy is a key partner in the European MBDA consortium, which produces the Storm Shadow cruise missile. This is a weapon already integrated onto the Italian Tornado and Typhoon fleets. That the choice to procure the American JASSM-ER rather than integrating the European equivalent onto the F-35 underscores the technical and bureaucratic walls erected around the F-35 program. Integrating non-U.S. weapons onto the jet requires access to source codes and flight control software that the United States is historically reluctant to share, or it involves prohibitive costs and timelines. Consequently, Rome has accepted a degree of industrial dependency to ensure immediate operational capability. By purchasing off-the-shelf American technology, the Italian defense establishment prioritizes the synchronization of its supply chain with the U.S. Air Force over the support of its domestic industrial base. This decision ensures interoperability within NATO, but limits the potential for independent action if U.S. logistical support were to be withdrawn. The scale of the acquisition, reportedly involving 100 missiles, with a total program value nearing $300 million, suggests a target set focused on high-value strategic infrastructure rather than tactical battlefield support. A stockpile of 100 units is insufficient for a sustained campaign of attrition, but it is well calibrated for a decapitation strategy aimed at command and control nodes, logistical hubs, and energy infrastructure. This aligns with a shift in Italian defense posture from strictly territorial defense and peace enforcement toward a capability for strategic deterrence in the wider Mediterranean region. The ability to strike targets deep within the Balkans or North Africa without leaving the airspace over the Adriatic Sea provides Rome with a diplomatic lever that extends far beyond the immediate blast radius of the weapon. This capability is further complicated when applied to the naval domain. The F-35B, operated by both the Italian Air Force and Navy, faces stricter weight and balance limitations than the land-based A variant. While the JASSM-ER integration provides the aircraft carrier Cavour with a strike radius that exceeds the organic air power of most regional navies, it also imposes severe logistical burdens on the carrier group. Storing large, heavy cruise missiles in the limited magazines of a 30,000-ton carrier reduces the capacity for other munitions. This forces naval planners to make difficult choices between strike volume and mission flexibility. Furthermore, the reliance on external carriage for the F-35B at sea exposes the fleet to detection earlier in the sortie generation process, potentially compromising the location of the carrier group itself. Operational planning relies heavily on mission data files and intelligence support to route these missiles effectively around terrain and obstacles. The JASSM-ER is not merely a point-and-shoot weapon. It is an autonomous robot that requires precise programming of its flight path, terminal maneuvers, and target recognition algorithms. This reliance on digital infrastructure implies that the effectiveness of the Italian strike force is inextricably linked to the intelligence apparatus that generates this targeting data. And if the United States controls the generation and distribution of these mission data files, the operational sovereignty of the Italian JASSM-ER fleet remains bounded by the strategic alignment between Rome and Washington. The weapon provides the physical means to strike. But the digital key to unlock that potential resides within a shared yet unequal alliance structure. Ultimately, the introduction of the JASSM-ER into the Italian arsenal represents a maturation of the F-35 program, from a platform-centric acquisition to a system-of-systems approach. It acknowledges that stealth is a perishable advantage, and that range remains the dominant variable in modern aerial warfare, While this decision cements Italy's status as a Tier 1 partner in the F-35 enterprise, it also deepens the structural integration of Italian air power into the U.S. operational framework. The resulting capability is a potent hybrid of European piloting and American engineering. It is capable of projecting power across the Mediterranean basin. Yet, it remains subject to the constraints of a supply chain and intelligence cycle that operates largely outside of Rome's direct control.